Hello, everyone, and welcome to my weekly Meltdown's coverage of us,
Of
breakdown
our lives.
of our lives and all kinds of things, and
just the BS.
just
Yes.
BS. It's just a
I'm a
bunch
hair.
of BS.
It's
Gotcha.
always just a bunch of BS here on my weekly Meltdown. But always happy to see the both of you, even when Allison's wearing a Schitt's Creek shirt.
So I think about that.
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
Starting off strong.
The show that you're too good to watch.
Listen, I am too good to watch Schitt's Creek.
Thank you, Pokemon number 9. I did get my hair cut. It's a little out of control today, but it's fine.
I think it looks cute. I will say this. I think Schitt's Creek has one of the best LGBTQ storylines in a primetime show of all time.
Okay. Yeah. I want to talk about this. So I feel like, first of all, like I've never seen an episode of Schitt's Creek.
Then be
but of
quiet.
course-
Then
of
you
course
have
I,
an opinion.
Right.
Sorry.
But it's typical Tyler to have an uninformed opinion. But I see clips like on Facebook and TikTok and like where all the cool kids like share all those clips and everything. And I swear like every like basic like straight person in my life has told me like, oh my God, Tyler, you are just like David. And I'm like, I'm literally
you're
like
not.
the furthest
You're literally
thing.
not David
Right.
at all. I would never say that. Okay, you basic straight people out there, gay people are not all the same.
And so I feel like David is like chuggy gay representation for straight people. Does that make sense?
I can get that. You might need to explain what chuggy means to Allison because I have a feeling she doesn't know.
What does that
Okay,
chuggy
so-
mean?
It's a
So
Gen Z term.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically it's like a slang term for Gen Z to like refer to like millennial like trends that like really should just like die instead of like being like a thing. Like shiplap is like a good example of chuggy.
Things that tried really hard to be trendy for so long that people still perpetuate but are really not trendy. So like shiplap, he's saying like if you're redoing your home, like those plastic bottles with the straw that are reusable that people drink out of, that would be considered chuggy. Like just things like that. I think it's stupid. I really
I'm not using it.
I don't blame I don't use
Using
it.
that.
Here's my whole thing. Gen Z is just, it's doing its thing that we did to Gen X and
Speak
to baby
English.
boomers and all that kind of stuff. Like literally we came up with terms. They think they're funny and cheeky. And then I can't wait for like literally 6 years from now from Generation Alpha to be shitting on everything they did.
Yeah.
Gonna be
Yeah.
amazing. Literally, they're saying all this stuff about, oh, that's chuggy, but yet they're bringing back everything that we grew up on in the late 90s and early
Yes.
2000s as cash. They like chokers. They like little things in their, like the little clips in their hair now. They like feather extensions. They like low-rise jeans.
No, nobody
They
like feathers.
They like the baggy jeans that like drag on the ground, and it's not going to be fun in winter when all of a sudden you look down and not only are your pants wet literally all day long, but you have a salt stain about ankle high up onto your jeans because that's what happens if you live in the Northeast or any place that has snow and they take care of it with it. Like, come on. It's
And you
literally
can't wash your jeans. You're
Yes.
literally only supposed to wash your jeans maybe once. You can't wash your jeans. And if you're wearing long jeans and you're getting God knows what, your jeans basically need a tetanus shot if they're dragging the ground. And
I will say, like, that's one thing I kind of disagree with. Like, I wash my jeans like after like 2 or 3 washes, which I know is like probably
Wears,
not
you
like,
mean?
or wears. I'm sorry.
Yeah, if I wash
I
my
don't know.
jeans when they need to be washed.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
I get shit on them, they're going to
Yeah.
get washed.
Yeah.
If they start to smell funky,
yeah.
because I was sweating in them for 3 days or whatever,
You're
they're
at
going
the
to get
club.
washed.
You're
Yeah.
at the club and they smell like a cigarette ashtray.
If I wear them out at a party, I don't even care. I'm just washing them because for
Yeah.
me, it's
Yeah.
the means of washing the party off. Even
Yeah,
if you're
yeah,
not pretty.
Yeah,
But to all my like straight chuggy friends out there, I am not David. I don't go around going, "Oh my God," like reacting to like literally every single thing. If anything, I'm like his partner Patrick.
You were 100% Patrick more than I would say that you're more Patrick than you are.
Because see, David, though, in the beginning, like in the very, like I think it was season 1 or whatever, like when someone asked him what he preferred, and he was like, sometimes I feel like a rosé.
I've seen that clip.
He's one of the best because he's pansexual.
Merlot. And I'm like, I love that. I just love Daniel Levy.
He's so good.
He's so good. Yeah.
That's exactly what I think it is like he had a way of not only just bringing like the main romance of the season ends up being a queer relationship between somebody who was closeted and comes out and had been dating women up until that point, and somebody who is pansexual, who explains pansexuality after.
I had no idea he was even pansexual. Like, I thought that he was.
That's the point with the wine. So he says, like, so Stevie, who's his friend, he sleeps with her, and she says, up until last night, I thought you were only a red wine drinker. And he's like, I do love red wine, but I also like white wine. And she's like, okay. And she goes, and one time I had a Chardonnay that used to be a Merlot.
Yeah.
And like that kind of thing. And it's just like, it was a little complicated, but I liked it. Like I just like, and then he says, I like the wine and not the label, which is a wonderful way to talk about pansexuality and all those different kinds of things. So like, there's a lot of really great reasons why the show is progressive in the way it was, but just love it.
Yeah. I want to say hi to Pokemon and Dolores, who are in the chat and making brilliant comments like this. I wonder who shared that news.
Really. Can we talk about that just for a slight second? I don't want to harp on this because I don't think that our show should be a place of bringing too much negativity about that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But I would like to say I really I commend you for bringing out something that would have been brought out anyway.
Yes,
it would have been made news, and I really commend you on posting it and having a lot of people talk about it like online. I think it's an important conversation to have. You know, my opinion in life is that healthcare is the number one human right that we still can't wrap our heads around in this country in some capacities, and it's one thing to have an opinion about health and that kind of thing. It's another thing to openly pass around false information about people's health where over half a million people have died from a particular disease, and then posing that as being like, but that's not a basic human right. No, that is absolutely affecting people at a much higher rate actually than a lot of the other basic human rights that we discuss in this country.
I just know that like I remember like I'm like putting myself in like a teenage Tyler, like watching like Survivor, like All Stars, like years and years and years ago, right? And how like influential these people I was seeing on TV were to me, like as a kid who was like still forming like opinions about the world and everything. And I just don't think that like certain views should get a platform. And I personally don't view that as censorship because nobody is entitled to being cast on any show, and not being cast for something you share is not censorship in my opinion. You do not get cast for like a million things, right? Like you could say like the wrong like ice cream flavor and like you're not cast like because like somebody else in the cast like also like has that same ice cream flavor. So like I don't know, but that's my thoughts on it. I'm proud of my choices on Twitter, and I have no regrets.
No regrets.
Yes.
No regrets. Are
Allison,
you sure?
No regrets. Allison, I feel like we need like a Kelly Ripa update because it's been a hot minute since we've heard about her, and she had some like bracelet drama this morning on the show.
Yeah, what was this bracelet drama?
During the beginning of the show, you know, she has to act funny with poor, God bless his soul, Ryan Seacrest.
Meanwhile, I can't stand him. So
and I just like, I choose him over her. If I got to choose between the two evils, it's going to be him. She's doing the show, you know, and she's got to sit like this and be like this. And
she does do that. She's always like, this is my show. I'm like hanging out. That's true.
She had on some bracelets that sounded like my cat's cat toys. Yeah, every time she freaking moved. And my cat, Phoebe, was going, she was kind of looking at Phoebe's the little blonde of the family. Okay. She's not obvious, but she was just kind of looking around and it was making her nuts. So it was making me nuts. And I'm like, you are not professional. You are unprofessional. There's two things you don't do. You don't wear white and you don't ever wear shit that's going to make noise.
Why don't you wear white?
Because it's really bad. This is a film fun fact. You notice there's not a lot of people that wear white because it's bad for the lighting. It's horrible.
I should know this as a photographer, but
yeah, you should. I'm very surprised that you don't. Good God.
Yeah. Also, I want to talk about. I'm sorry, I'm like burning through topics right now, but I recently got HBO Max, so I'm like just like going through the catalog, like seeing what's out there and everything.
Oh,
and
the devil made me do it.
And I have rediscovered Teen Titans, which was like my favorite show as a kid.
And
I just gotta say, it has aged so well, you guys. Like every episode is just like chef's kiss. It's so good. So if anybody's looking for like a good like cartoon to binge, like Teen Titans is definitely it.
I watched Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It the other night.
I saw that that's on there. I also haven't seen the second chapter of It. I still need to see. I think that's on HBO Max, but I have to wait for Tim to be away because he doesn't like scary movies. So,
oh my God,
my time is coming with it.
I live for it. So Dolores has got a Kelly Ripa story. What is this? I met Kelly back in her start days prior to Regis. She was so human and down to earth and humble. The person who we see now, and for quite a few years, is just somebody knowing. Yeah, I used to like her, but it's like you're not. Stop picking on that guy Gelman. Okay, that was Regis's thing. Shut up and stop wearing bracelets that make noise. Just stop making noise. Just don't speak, if that's possible.
Beth, you're muted.
My bad. Do you think this should be easier to relate to if she were in an afternoon show? Like where she didn't have to get hyped up or something on coffee in the morning?
I think she'd be a lot better on the third or fourth hour of the Today Show drunk like Kathy Lee used to do with Hoda.
I would agree with that because like when she was on Broad City, like she was like shit-faced on Moonshine. That was like her character. She was like playing herself. But like I loved her appearance on Broad City. So I feel like if she just was able to lean into that more, but like network television is like no for like any kind of fun. So
it's so true. It's so true. I've just been watching for the most part. Well, this past week, obviously a lot of Dragula, but Lost and The Nanny, and I just don't have a lot of time to watch much. Oh, that's not true. I've been rewatching New Girl. And
that's right.
I love that show. Allison, have you ever watched New Girl? I know that Tyler hasn't.
No, I've never seen it. It's a chuggy show.
Maybe. But it is so good. They have this episode that's like one of my all-time favorite episodes of anything on television because it's just perfect all the way around. Like this kind of like weird, funny primetime kind of humor. So it's not like It's Always Sunny kind of humor. It's still network television humor, but it's just really funny. So like the whole premise is that Jess, who's the main character, shares this apartment with 4 guys, one of which ends up being her ex-boyfriend. And it's like,
is that the hot one? That Italian guy? I think he's Italian, right?
So
there's like one like really hot guy on
Max Greenfield, that one?
Maybe.
Okay. Let me because here's the thing. I think all 4 of them are attractive. So she's living with them. They live in basically like what used to be a warehouse. So their bathroom actually has stalls and like showers and that kind of thing. It's like kind of interesting, kind of cool place. And they all have like their pros and cons, whatever. But this episode is one of the, thank you, Pokemon. I totally agree with this actually. They have this episode where Jess, so Winston, who's one of the 4 guys, is going through the police academy, and he has this background check with the LAPD to come through and make sure that, you know, this is like one of the requirements in order to become a police officer. And he springs it on his roommates at the last minute. By the way, I found out that it's going to happen today. And Jess, who's like a really innocent kind of girl, was like, oh, okay, it's happening today. Great. Okay. And then he walks away and she turns to the other guys and she's like, this is not good because I have a whole bag of meth in my room. And they're like, what? And
Why do you have meth in your room?
Exactly. So then she's going through and they're trying to hide, like she has this huge Ziploc plastic bag of like all this crystal meth in there. And everyone's like, how did you get that much? And she went, I went to a garage sale and I bought an ottoman and I didn't know that the top came off. When I opened it, it had all this meth in there. And so they're all freaking out. One of the characters can't lie. He's like, I can't see where it goes because I'll say trash as soon as like they come in. So like, it's just like, it's so funny. So you have this one character who can't lie, who doesn't whatever, who's just sweating profusely the entire time. You have two other people who are just trying to find ways to get rid of the meth. Like it's just so fucking funny. It is one.
Now
of
just
the
picturing like the three of us like trying to like hide that and like play it cool and everything.
It is my favorite. Like you guys don't even need to know anything about the show, and just you could pick up and watch that one episode, and you guys would love it.
Who would you
I
be
see.
shocked out of the three of us that would have meth?
I think it's gonna be me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Why would you think that I would have meth?
I don't think that you would. I just think in general, it's from what I learned about just generally with like random people coming in and out of your home. It wouldn't be shocking to me if somebody just was like, oh, I left my stash at Allison's. Like, that's how I kind of feel.
Now I'm gonna be like going yard
And I
selling.
think Tyler would just have meth. Just kidding.
Yeah, he would just have it.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I don't want to say anything.
It's so good. It's so good. I really think, though, I think that both of you should watch that episode and give me your thoughts on it. Because, like, the humor is consistent with how the humor is for the rest of the episode, but it's just so freaking funny.
It's on HBO Max.
No, it's on Netflix.
Netflix. Okay.
I'll give you the episode.
What is Allison's opinion on lint rollers? Like lint rollers in general? I have
cameras.
Do you have
blurry.
one?
Like I have one everywhere. Like I've got lint rollers.
Why? Do cats like shed a lot?
Dude,
Is that a thing?
I can't. If I wear
I guess
black,
like the fur ball thing is like that's like a thing, right?
the hair. If I
Fur balls are literally because they groom themselves and then
I see.
they shed and it gets on everything. And of course I vacuum my furniture and all that and I keep it, clean. But if I'm wearing a black shirt or something or going out, wipe that look off your face, Tyler, for God's sake. It's just cat hair. And don't even get me started on hair because the two of you've got it coming. But anyway, I mean, I have lint rollers everywhere. If I want to wear a black, here's a trick I've also learned when you do laundry and you have cats and you have dark colored shirts, when you're fold them inside out. Because cat hair will find a way to get on that shirt.
That's actually that's really good. Or if you put it on like a bed for 1 second, a cat will be like, "Oh, my new laying thing," and you're like, "No, I was folding that. It's black. Stop."
Mine are ridiculous. So yes, that happens. But if I want to wear a black shirt, I wait until I leave the house. I put on just whatever, and then I take it off and put it, and then leave the house because I can't deal with it. I can't deal with the cat hair. I can't deal with hair, period.
Well, I also think too that for Tyler,
Very random question, but thank you for asking.
For Tyler, who isn't well versed in cats, long-haired cats and short-haired cats shed differently. So long-haired cats shed in clumps typically, and it's actually, as long as you're brushing them like daily or every couple of days or so, like you could pretty much like go, oh, okay, here's a whole thing and throw it away. Otherwise, you might just find clumps around your house or whatever if you're not brushing them. Short-haired cats are just going to have individual fur all over the place.
Yeah, see, I have 3 short-haired cats, and then I have a Maine Coon. The Maine Coon we brush, and his hair's not that bad. But
what does a Maine Coon mean?
A Maine Coon is a type of cat That's
Okay.
They tend to be larger, and
like
they're
more feral, right?
no, they're actually some of the most like domesticated and nicest cat breeds that there are. But they
Okay.
look like they could be feral, but they're not.
Huh.
They're actually like super friendly.
There's a
All of
Digimon
them-
named Mekumon,
Yeah.
and I've always wondered like where that name comes from. So I just kind of like connected a few dots there.
Well, Oliver's fur is usually only found when there's a fight at 3:00 in the morning between him and Finley. There was I couldn't sleep last night, so I'm on the couch, finally falling asleep, and all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose in the dining room, and these two are going at each other, and I break it up. I get scratched in the middle of it, and
How do you break up a cat fight? How do you do it?
how do I do it?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I'm running in there blind without my glass. I'm like, hey, hey, hey. I could probably pull up video footage of it. I'm flying in there. Stop it. Quit, quit, quit. And they break, but one of them is still trying, and I just get down there and I stand and I squat in the middle. And sometimes I'll catch a claw and sometimes I won't. If the Nerf
Is
gun
it like
is
a
nearby, I'll
serious
shoot
fight?
one of them.
Like it needs breaking up, or is it just like they're just like playing?
They're not drawing blood or anything. It's dominance. It's two
I see.
alpha males in the house. They're never going to get along. Finley has 3 big scratches in his nose, and Oliver got the tip of his ear really good and bit him, and I cleaned him up really good and put the Neosporin. Aw.
Look at this sweet girl.
I have to check both of them because I pull claws out of them.
Mhm.
I pulled the claw out of their head, out of their neck, out of their stuff. Like I check them both for claws, but they just. But here's the funny thing: I had the ceiling fan on in the living room, and I have wood floor in there. And like I told y'all, Phoebe is like the little blonde cat. She'll stop, watch them fight, and it's like all the cat needs is popcorn and tea, and that's it.
Yeah.
The hair. Oliver and Finley's hair has some of the hair is moved into the living room and is spinning around like tumbleweeds, and she's jumping around trying to catch his damn hair while I'm trying to keep these two from killing each other. I'm like, I legit run an feline asylum. This is insane.
I will say I had so I was walking Sora this morning. And she's like, the vet has never said anything about like her weight or anything like that. But this like old lady, she like asked to like pet her. She was like, oh, like old ladies really love corgis for whatever reason. And
they model themselves off the Queen of England.
Yeah, like that's what they always bring up, and I'm like, oh yeah, totally. And meanwhile, I know like nothing about that. But she was like, she's only 6 months old. She's quite fat, and I was like, no, she's not. Like, don't say that to her. Don't hurt her feelings.
We gotta talk about this. This needs to be addressed.
And I was like, so I did like all this research like online, and I was like, no, she is perfectly healthy. She is fine. She's like, corgis are always gonna be a little chunky, right?
The whole point of a corgi is that they look
fat butts. Yeah.
Like, that's the point of a corgi. They don't even do. They even have knees?
It's just scout dogs.
No, it's just little nubs. Yeah. So if you're out there, like, don't call my dog fat. Like, she is perfectly fine, like just the way she is. And we just set like a spay date for her next month. So
yeah, let's talk.
We've got that on our radar. Yeah.
Let's talk about your dog for a minute. This needs to be addressed because there's some things going on that I love Sora, and Sora loves Auntie Allison, but she goes to daycare.
Yes.
And Tyler watches the camera in the daycare and sends it to us.
Listen, I have years of live feed Big Brother experience to like prepare me for this. So I totally know how to like multitask, like getting like all my editing and like emails with clients done that I need to. And watch her on the live feeds at the same time.
My favorite thing about corgis in general, but especially Sora, is all the photos that you send us where like her legs are just straight out in front of her and straight behind her, just like when she's laying down. It's just
she loves the sploot. She loves it.
I relate to that. I relate to that because I'm a little, and that's how I lay. I'm just.
It's just so funny
Face
because
down.
again, without having like a knee, it's not like they kind of sit like this on
Yeah.
top of their limbs. It's just like, hi, you know. I love it. It's my favorite. It's my favorite.
I did want to mention, so Beth and I had a little exchange on TikTok about a potential karaoke duet song. It's When You're Home from In the Heights. Like when you shared that you were singing that, I was like, oh my God, I totally know like the entire male part to that. So when we do like a karaoke night together here in New York City, like we're definitely going to sing that together.
I just
excited.
am so excited to be in New York and have a karaoke partner.
I will be your karaoke partner. And
Yes.
so I was in a cappella like in college, and I did like chorus like all throughout high school. So like Glee was like literally my high school experience. So I'm not like the best singer in the world, like not by any stretch of the imagination, but I can like carry a tune at least enough for
it's
karaoke.
about just having fun singing a song with somebody.
Yeah,
I couldn't care less what people's vocal abilities are. As long as you're into it and having fun, like that's all I care about. But yeah, have either of you watched? I know that Tyler has actually. Have you watched In the Heights, the movie, Allison, on HBO Max?
I have no idea what it is now.
You have to watch it. It's so good.
Okay, so I watched it on Tuesday. I watched it on Tuesday. It took all of my might not to watch it beforehand, but I had two friends who really wanted to watch it with me, so I waited. And there's a few things I don't like about the movie. And I will also say, I totally agree. There's a lot of people. The whole point about the show is that it's about this neighborhood in New York City called Washington Heights.
Is it a series?
No, it's a movie.
Okay.
Movie musical. It's based off of the stage musical that Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote and staged in 2008. It was his first musical before Hamilton. And it is so good. And it's basically about immigrants and the children and grandchildren of immigrants living in Washington Heights that are of different Latin countries, but specifically Caribbean Latin immigrants. So those from Puerto Rico, from the Dominican Republic, that kind of thing. The Dominican Republic has a very interesting culture that is mostly Black Latino immigrants and such. And so one of the biggest controversies about this is that they actually didn't cast too many dark-skinned or darker actors to play
not only that, but like in the big dance number, Allison, so like they're at like this like pool, like everybody's like dancing along, like so they have this like overhead shot of like think like what's it called when like swimmers are like synchronized swimming. They have like copied and pasted like the same like single Black person like 3 times in the frame, and I'm like, oh my God, that is, I didn't even notice until like somebody pointed that out. I was like,
about it is that they like on the stage show there was actually a whole storyline they cut from the movie, which is one of the characters is actually
Listen, so basically what you're saying is it looks like I edited it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a pic collage. Yeah.
It's just so what ends up happening in the stage version is that there's a whole storyline where one of the fathers of a daughter doesn't approve of the relationship she's entering in because he's Black, and there is like something to be said, like a huge issue within the community apparently, and I cannot speak because I'm not a part of any of those communities, but apparently is colorism, which is to say that there's a prejudice between how dark or how light you are when you have melanin, like a lot of melanin in you. So traditionally what we have seen in the United States is that people who are lighter skinned or like white passing or whatever are seen to be more beautiful and are more represented, but people who are darker typically aren't as successful or have as much validation or representation. So the whole point is like, you have a story that's literally about Afro-Latinx people and like nobody is cast who is Afro-Latinx. So that was like one of the big controversies of it. But there's so many wonderful, it is such a good adaptation. It's its own entity. It's not like copy and paste.
Yeah. I cried. It was so good.
I cried 3 times. It's so good, Allison.
It's a
You're gonna love it.
musical.
It's a musical.
Yeah.
And the music, in my opinion, is some of the best music because
Beautiful.
like every single song makes you want to cry. It's so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
But it's like has all these wonderful Latin influences and such in all the music too. So it's not just like traditional Rodgers and Hammerstein style music. Like it is like Afro, Latinx kind of music. You have these salsa and reggae beats and tones to it. You have wonderful hip hop and references and such in all of the music. It's really good. It's a really good amalgamation of all these various different cultures and such that Lin-Manuel Miranda grew up in and with.
It reminds me of that musical that I like, and I can't remember the name of it, but it takes place in New York with two gangs.
What's
And
that story?
West Side Story. I love
Yeah.
West Side Story. Like,
Well, and so-
I love that movie.
And so so actually the biggest controversy that came out this past week was after this whole discussion about not having Afro Latinx people in the movie was that Rito Moreno, who played what's her name? The I Want to Be in America. What's the character's name?
Anita,
thank you. She plays Anita in the movie. Like they literally made her darker in the movie, which she didn't want. But she came out on Stephen Colbert show and was basically like, I don't know why people think this is such a big deal. Like, we should be celebrating like that Lin-Manuel Miranda even brought this to stage and all this other stuff. And it's like completely dismissing the whole point, which was like, it's easy for you to say as a lighter Latino person. Like,
I feel like it's one of those like you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Look, they had Natalie.
Point, you know?
They had Natalie Wood, the whitest girl, playing that part
100%. And this was also what, the 60s?
This was early 60s.
Yeah. So I mean, we can't just sit back and be like, oh yes, this was we have to remember the time frame, but that doesn't mean we don't call out what was problematic about it back then. But the whole point is it is now 2021, and instead of listening to your community or adjacent communities and such, going on national television and like poo-pooing that this is an argument is just not a look to have nowadays.
Yes. Okay. This I have to vent about something because this kind of like transitions into something else. Love Victor is so bad. And it's kind of like for the same reasons as like why In the Heights is like a little problematic. Like, so I'm like watching the second season. And first of all, I just found out today that the two gay actors are straight in real life.
Can we stop?
Like makes me angry. But like it is such a like squeaky clean like version of like high school coming out, and it's like totally not realistic at all. Like the mother is like very like religious, and she of course like had problems when he came out and everything. And then like 5 episodes into like him coming out, she just like randomly is like, Victor, I think I'm ready to talk about who you are and start the bridge for acceptance. And I'm like, this came out of like nowhere. Like it's if like regardless of like the movie or TV show, it frustrates me to no end like undeserved like character development. You know what I mean? Especially in like such like an important story. And like I and like every other gay person out there is just like so starved for like any type of like good like gay representation that like I have to settle for this like Love Victor like absolute garbage.
That's not true. You could watch Schitt's Creek.
Yes, you could. I don't even know what Love Victor is.
I have no comeback for that.
I know. Ugh. Wait, hold on. Allison, high five.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are so right. But
I've never heard of.
it's
Love
on
Victor.
Hulu.
I've seen it on there. I just didn't know. Listen, I'm too busy watching shows like Cruel Summer, Handmaid's Tale, Dateline, 2020, 48 Hours, any criminally insane murder show on
Something
Netflix.
that's just going to make you feel better about yourself because the world is so dark and all those.
I am
Right.
addicted.
At least I'm not this person, you know.
I watched I can't see a show on HLN called Very Scary People. I can't stop watching it.
What's like the scariest person on that
Oh, they've
show?
had the BTK killer. They've had
Oh.
the Son of Sam. They've had the Iceman killer. They have all of them on there. The Butcher. Everybody. I mean, and it's just, and it's each episode is an hour long. But
When
it's
are they
like,
going to have Donald Trump on there?
That is
I
a
did.
very
I don't
Jennifer
know.
person.
This has been on for 3 seasons. He could have been on season 1 or 2 because I haven't
Yeah.
backpedaled.
And is Ted Cruz going to be on there as a Zodiac killer?
Oh my god, that
The
piece of
Zodiac.
shit.
They did do the Zodiac killer. I'm too busy watching all these murder shows and crap.
That's
that
okay. Honestly, you should stay in that lane instead of like indulging like this like absolute shit show that is Love Victor.
I actually didn't really like Love, Simon, to be honest, the movie.
I liked that movie.
I think it was fine.
I've seen that movie.
What did you
liked
think,
the
Allison?
message of it, but
as like a straight woman who lives in Tennessee, I want to hear like what you thought of Love, Simon.
I liked it. I felt the young man's frustration. I liked the actor. I think he did a really good job of projecting his feelings. And I felt really bad when he went to the Ferris wheel for the first time and the guy didn't show up. That really upset me. And then he showed up at the end and spoiler. Anyway. I liked it, but I'm tired of seeing Jennifer Garner as the mom. Like she is the mom in every movie now that she is in. She is she's a wimpy kid. All these movies that she's in now, she's a mom. She was freaking.
I love that wimpy kid is like your
wimpy kid. Love Simon.
Diaries. She's been the mom. She was on that freaking show for 5 or 6 years where she was an assassin spy that wore a lot of wigs.
Alias?
Alias. She was Electra. You know, and you want to stop putting her in these.
She was in 13 going on 30.
She was that is a great movie. I mean, she was in that movie. Stop it. Stop making her play the mom. That's for one-dimensional actresses like Jennifer Lopez. Let's put Jennifer Lopez.
I liked what I want to happen. And I'm happy that I do think that Love, Simon did it really well. The point of Love, Simon is learning about how homophobia can be actually like you outing somebody, like that, how that is actually abuse, that is homophobia, and like what is wrong with that, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of really good lessons in there. I want LGBTQ, Black, ability, like based marginalized identity, like stories that isn't about their
Coming
trauma.
Out. Yeah.
I want it to be about celebrating that, like, this is a part of their identity. This is who they are. And it's always, but like, I just feel like we're starting to scratch the surface of this, but like, I'm kind of sick of like the trauma of coming out stories. It's like, why aren't we celebrating gay people for other than their trauma? Like, why are we like,
totally.
I'm sick of Black stories always being like slavery, the civil rights, and being beaten for who they are. Like those are incredible stories and they should be told. But I also want to hear about like how amazing they are and how they've overcome things that aren't super traumatic. Like white people get this all the time. Women don't even get that much. And we're starting to see more women do that as well. Like I want to see women who aren't playing second fiddle to I actually saw such a funny TikTok. There's this woman, I can't remember what her name is off the top of my head, but she did one that was like every woman in an action movie. And she was like, don't leave me. I can't survive on my own. And then the next one should be like, my baby's in there. Save my baby. And
there's actually some kind of test for movies to pass like a feminism test. I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but if a movie has a scene with 2 women talking about something other than a man, and if a movie contains that specific rule in it,
bar, pass, and it's like 85% of movies don't pass.
So we still got a long way to go. But speaking of a long way to go, I want to talk about. We have some comments about the Big Brother logo, and it is. Did I
miss it? I haven't seen it.
It is a hot mess moment, if you will.
Can we bring a picture up?
Yeah, I have it right here.
I don't think that's bad at all. Like, am I crazy? It's the studio. I think that makes sense. I actually kind of like being like very open about. We're in a studio in LA. Here we go.
What is the point of this? Like they moved it. It's not going to be in the same place.
I wish they would get a new studio.
The
That
only
thing is
thing
like so
that would
old.
make this better is if Julie Chen wasn't in it.
I mean,
At least she's not wearing her like Jesus hoodies that she's trying to sell on Instagram.
What is she holding a key for?
how cute.
Yeah, why does she have a key? When has that bitch ever walked up to the doors and unlocked it or locked it? Never.
I just don't understand like why we keep having to change the Big Brother logo. Like I feel like we go through this like every season. It's like some kind of weird reiteration. And also the theme music gets like progressively like more chopped up every season too.
Yeah.
So it's like production's just like a hot mess. But I do have some little tidbits for the new season of Big Brother coming up. I follow some like spoiler accounts that were 100% accurate last season with like all the all-star rumors and everything. So
wait, let me answer a question real quick. Sam Higdon, yes, I cut my hair off because he asked if I did something to my hair. Yes.
Well, first of all, Big Brother Canada did get renewed for a 10th season, so that is very
Yay.
good. But apparently a lot of Big Brother US production did watch BB Can 9, and they have specifically said that Big Brother 22 All-Stars was a total failure, and they need to go in a different direction this season. So that makes me very hopeful. We're looking at a cast reveal on July 30th. We have a live, or no, June 30th.
June 30th?
I'm sorry.
I was
June
like,
30th.
I thought
Sorry.
that it was supposed to start on July 7th.
Sorry.
What a fucking awful thing if they were like, here's a month worth of the show, but we're going to black out everyone's face
my God.
and body, and we're not going to show you their names, nor are we going to have their real voices.
Why
Well,
do
we
I feel
know
like
all
Alison
the-
Grodner would consider that?
Listen, all the good stuff happens in the house before when the first 2 weeks they're in there anyway, when the cameras aren't on.
Well, if
So-
there is a live move-in, like we should get live feeds like night one, hopefully, because that was one good thing about last year, I will say. All newbies, 16 players, no live audience, and no night one evictions. So these are all good things. So
I'm here for it.
I'm
As long as
I'm
there's
like-
no night one infections, I'm fine.
I'm like cautiously optimistic about this season. I don't
Okay,
know.
wait a minute. Say that again. There's what?
Okay, so there is we have a live move-in, HOH on night one.
Okay.
All newbies, 16 players, no live audience, and no night one evictions.
But we don't have night one evictions that often.
We did. There was like a few years that
3
we.
years in a row. It was awful.
Yeah,
it was like maybe 18, 19, and 20.
Yeah.
Tyler, please say hi to my mother. She's in the chat.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
We're on texting terms now, so
Yeah, we need to talk about that too
go ahead.
after the show.
Okay. Got to set some boundaries. I see. Let's see. So yeah, that's all the Big Brother news I have, but I'm very excited about the season.
Is that the picture that I saw when I was trolling Twitter the other day, and they had that chick in who's the girl, the woof woof girl,
Raven.
Raven in her place? That's what I saw, and I was like, I'm gonna ignore this and pretend like this never happened. What is this?
Season 14, 18, 19, and 21 had day one evictions.
I haven't seen
Okay.
14. But yeah, it's just
14's okay. Everybody like loves that season, but I'm not like really crazy about it, except for seeing Dan and Brittany for a second time. But like, I don't know, Janelle leaves very early, and like the newbies for the most part are not good players. So I don't know. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
yeah.
Speaking of Allison, I loved your like Big Brother like audio montage that you slaved over for hours for us.
Shut up. Listen, I was trying to be creative. I woke up. I'm a huge Cobra Kai fan, and of course, they released this teaser a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, I'm gonna rip this off with a Big Brother thing, and I'm gonna do well. First of all, I put my hair in this little nub ponytail, and then I decided, no, I'm feeling fat today, so I'm not gonna do it. So I got my big mic out and put it in front of the fireplace, and I found, I Googled 3 of my favorite three of the greatest players, I think. Dr. Will, Giesling, and Levasseur. And I just pulled some of their lines and recorded it and had it play. And then I just said, "Are you ready for Big Brother 23?" And it was fun. It was choppy. It was bad, but it's
on brand for us.
It is an Allison original.
No one.
Look at this. Allison did that. The quality was so good, I assumed it was Tyler.
You're just kissing my clitoris.
Wait.
Multiple. I tried to stop myself.
That sounds like the plural version, like clitori.
Yes, all three of them. My own word. Okay, like mushing or whatever the fuck y'all were talking about earlier.
Chuggy.
What did you say? I will say this: clitori are not chuggy.
Chuggy. Okay.
They never go out of style.
All right.
No. Although a recent poll I heard on a podcast said that
thank you, Pokemon.
Only 46% of men know how many holes women have down there.
Well, all they have to do is listen to like 2 weeks ago Hot Mess Moments, because I went in depth with the story.
She went down the rabbit holes.
I did.
The day.
Well, not with the bidet.
Right, yeah.
It was just a classmate who didn't know that women had 3 holes, and so she went to the bathroom to be like. She literally went, "Can I go to the bathroom?" And when she came back, I went, "Everything check out."
I don't understand how like people don't know this. Like me as a gay man, like even I know this. Like I don't straight men have no excuse.
Explain for those who don't understand. You have
I can't explain it, but okay. So like there's like a sex hole, there's a pee hole, and a poop hole.
Oh my God! Let a woman say this. You have a butthole.
Yeah.
You have a vaginal.
I'm talking about their uses, not
you have a urethra.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know the technical. What?
Listen to this gay man telling me what the
got a pee hole, a poop hole, and a sex hole.
Yeah. Where's the incorrect information there, right?
Well, first of all,
I don't know the technical.
First of all, 2 of those holes could be sex holes. Just putting it out there. Third of all, there's a third sex hole right here. We're specifically talking about what the other. So you have an anus, a vagina, and a urethra.
Urethra is where you pee out of, right?
Urethra.
You
have one too. It's the same exact tube that semen comes out as well.
I always almost say urethra.
No, please don't. Please don't.
Look, as long as you know what it is, and I don't have to keep saying it, I don't care.
Once again, you know what I love about our show is that we so often have a sex education portion.
Yeah.
This time we're talking about sexual reproductive systems and such. But you know what? And just in the spirit, just as another educational moment, I have since had a couple of friends who are intersex, and as this is Pride Month, I just want to use this as an opportunity to talk about intersex people, because a lot of people don't know
that.
Yeah, so exactly. So intersex people are people who have any combination of what is traditionally male or female chromosomes, hormones, or gonads that would be different. So for example, actually intersex people sometimes know that they're intersex and oftentimes don't know until a certain age or something, especially like when women, if they're not getting their period, they might find that, oh, I actually don't have ovaries. I have undescended testicles. They're testicles, not ovaries that are inside my cavity and that kind of thing, for example.
So this isn't like identity. This is like biological.
It's about your biology. And sometimes you might have, like, this is what used to be, some people might have called back in the day the offensive term hermaphrodite, and that kind of thing. Allison mom is a nurse. See,
retired. She hasn't practiced medicine in a very long time. So
hey, you don't have to call her out like that.
But it is one of those things that it can affect your hormone levels. So, for example, if you are somebody who has a uterus and a vagina, but instead of having ovaries, you have testicles, you're more likely to be producing testosterone, which could be And then when you look at your like your chromosomes might be XXY, they might be YYX, they might be XY, they might be YY. I mean, XX. I mean, like there's a whole bunch of different formations and such there. Intersex people statistically are as I don't want to say popular, but like they're as common as redheaded people. Like it's not like this, like, oh, it only happens like 1 in a million or whatever. They're as common as other recessive genes and such. So, but I have a
follow-up question.
Yeah.
So you know how like they say like redheaded people is like a dying breed, right? Because it's like a recessive gene and like like eventually like there will be no more redheaded people.
It's a mutation in a recessive gene, I think. That's
so does the same thing apply for intersex people?
For some, absolutely. So there's been a lot that has been changed scientifically and in the medical field, especially over the past 15 years. Because I even remember being in 9th grade science, learning about what they called as Klinefelters, which was XXY. It's defined as having XXY chromosomes. So basically, you have 2 X's, which would biologically make you female, but you also have a Y in there, which would biologically make you male. So these were typically people who would have, typically they would have breasts that would be able to like hold milk and such, but they would also have tinier penises and like typically testicles and all that kind of stuff. So like you had like a couple of different kinds of sex organs and such, but it's not just that. It literally can be your chromosomes. It could literally be your hormone levels are not traditional in the ranges, and they suggest that there's something else going on. And some people can go their entire lives without even knowing that they're intersex. And some people can know from the moment that they're born because, like, maybe it might be like, do they have a large clit or a small penis, for example? Something like that. So. Just something to put out there because I know a lot of people weren't as educated about that. And obviously in those kind of situations that can affect how you're brought up and socialized and gendered and all those different kinds of things. So an important thing. But the intersex flag, for those that don't know, is a yellow flag that has a purple like male and female sign.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I've seen that before. Yeah. Yep. There's like so many like different like genetic like mutations that can happen that I feel like I just learned out maybe like a month or 2 ago that some people are born with tails that they like cut off like when they're born. Like that's crazy. Like because like so when you're like I don't know if this is like the right term, but
a
like
zygote.
When you're like an embryo
turns into a zygote, which turns into a fetus.
Yeah. So like somewhere along like that timeline, like you have a tail, and at some point during the development, it like
doesn't it normally form into your spine? Like it kind of goes up and then forms into your spine.
But sometimes it doesn't, and so like if you're like if you're not queasy, Google like people born with tails. It's really interesting. I don't know.
Well, it also like if you think about it from an evolutionary standpoint, we are descended from the same beings that like monkeys and such have, and they have tails. So it makes sense.
My mother would kill me if she saw me agreeing with that. But yes, it's oh gosh, now I'm like looking at like people with tails on Google. It kind of looks like a little carrot. Just like sticking out of like the back of you.
I don't really want to see it. I'm tempted, but I don't know. I mean, if you want to,
we're streaming to Beth's Twitch stream, so I probably not. I don't know if like
I don't think we should show it. We should just encourage people to do their own research.
Yeah, just Google people with tails, and you'll see.
Good times.
Can I talk about Googling for a second?
Please,
and
sure.
Since my mom is in the chat, this is funny. So probably 10 years my son was much young. Google, you have to understand, Google's been around for about 21 years. And my son, my mom and I don't know something came up and we were talking about female stuff. And neither one of us had this going on, but we were talking about yeast. Okay. And then the word yeast infection came up. And Jacob at the time was like, what does that mean? what's a yeast infection?
I
And
don't
I
know
said,
what a yeast infection really means.
a yeast infection. Oh, okay. Well, this will be fun. I said a yeast infection is what a woman gets in her vagina. It's an infection, and it, this. And he was not really like, he was being an. At that moment, I didn't feel like a mom. I felt like an older sister with a younger brother asking me questions, and he wasn't listening, and he was interrupting me. And I said, just Google it. The kid goes in the other room and Googles yeast infection and does the image, clicks the image button.
Oh no.
Well,
And
now I
he
have to do that
sees
for
these
myself.
vaginas with yeast infections. And
Tyler's
he's like,
about to Google it himself. Just so you know.
he's like, that is so nasty. I'm never gonna go. I don't even. You get those? You have those? And
You know
we're
how
like,
you get them the most? Sex.
yeah. And I said, no, I don't have a yeast infection. And Mimi doesn't have a yeast. I don't even know why we were talking about it. It just came up. Women talk about weird shit. I'm telling you, when things come up and you go, I can't believe we're talking about this. But anyway, I was watching Dracula and I was watching the Thunderdome and I go, wow, look, they are fighting with the two biggest tampons I've ever seen.
Yep.
So you think of like crazy shit. But I mean, it just, and he was traumatized by that. Like,
I
he
can
was
honestly
looking
say,
at a big angry vagina.
so here's the thing, like a lot of the time,
What are you looking right now?
he's looking at.
I would rather have a yeast infection than have a tail. I'll just say that. I was
I think
expecting
so
worse.
too, because first of all, it doesn't require surgery to fix.
I would hope not.
No,
There's
so-
the title of the show right there. I'm going to put in there, Schitt's Creek and yeast infections.
Well, that's the thing. So, like, I can say, and this is probably mostly because of, as for those that don't know, I identify on the asexual spectrum. I'm demisexual. So, and I'm somebody who's sex neutral. Like, I don't really care about sex, but I also like, I'm not repulsed by sex. It's just not something I like seek out. So I have a very like inexperienced like background with sex, I would say, but I have never had a yeast infection. And I'm almost 33 years old, and I'm pretty happy about that because from what I understand, it is just
Is it a common thing?
so uncomfortable. It's very common. It is very common. It's not. I think the vast majority of people with vaginas that I know have had it once in their life, kind of thing. It's no different than like getting a common cold idea, but you just kind of like it's like that's how common it can be, I think, for some people. But that's why women, for the most part, go and pee after they have sex, because the pee actually helps to kill the bacteria that's down there.
I see. That makes sense.
You can also get it from eating certain foods.
Yeah.
Like, there are certain foods that can give you yeast infections, and thank God we're coming to an end here. Taking antibiotics. Listen, I had one of the worst yeast infections I've ever had in my life, and I was taking freaking amoxicillin.
And that's the thing too. Like it's. I think some of it has to do, and June, you're going to have to correct me if this is wrong, but I think some of this also has to do with like your pH balance down there. So if there's anything like this is why I'm putting it out there. The vagina is a self-cleaning organ. It does not need a douche. It does not need you to be putting soap up there. Stop it. If you want to wash and clean yourself, you do it externally. You do it with warm water, maybe a washcloth, something like that. You don't even really need to go to town with the soap too much down there anyway.
The body's pushing it out on its own.
The body is pushing it out. When you mess with the pH down there, that's when shit gets itchy and awful and blah, blah, blah. So stop it.
Yeah, that's why they have freaking panty liners.
Yes. That is also
am I wrong?
No, 100%. That is why when you have a pad or a tampon or anything like that, that is going to be adding something to the biology, the ecology down there. Make sure you're cleaning yourself. Make sure you're changing your pad or your panty liner and that kind of stuff as often as you can. Don't keep it on there all day long. That's just gross.
Yeah, you need to change your tampon every 8 hours, because if you don't, you're going to go into toxic shock, and that's a whole other freaking thing. I've never had that because I just I've always been a pad girl. I'm glad this is out there. I feel very comfortable as a woman right now.
Listen, this is all about education at this point, where this isn't anything to be grossed out by. I mean, you can be to a certain extent because some of this stuff can get gross, but this is common. We need to be talking about this. Yes, June, thank you. Make sure your lover has clean fingers. Honestly, make sure those underneath the fingernails are good, Yeah,
let me tell you something else. If you have nasty fingernails and dirty hands and you're popping pimples on your face and stuff, you could cause like a serious infection. I've had to get onto my son for this because he does like construction work. And sometimes I'll pick him up and he'll pop a zit in the car. I'm like, you are putting bacteria in bacteria.
Yeah.
That thing's, I should be popping that, by the way. That thing's huge. That's a squirter. Mom needs to be popping that.
I love popping zits. So I love blackheads and like the little sebaceous. What are they called? Sebaceous, whatever, on your nose that aren't really blackheads, but you just go on your pores and they're just like little worms come out.
You know what I love? I follow Dr. Pimple Popper on Instagram. And it's like Christmas when you're scrolling through Instagram and there's one that says you have to tap on it to see it because it's
okay. So I can't do the hard pops where there's a lot of blood. I don't like that.
Oh, no, I don't want the blood, but I want the deep-seated, the blackhead.
I want the dilated pores of Weiner. I want that you took a spoon to the back and got some shit out of there.
The skin has grown around the shit. That it's a hole.
I'm dying at this comment. Pokemon says Tyler looks more uncomfortable than a child watching an R-rated movie.
Yeah.
Go watch it. Popthatzit.com. Popthatzit.com. Google it. YouTube. Okay. That's about it for this week.
Speaking of those comments, we have some nice comments from Dolores before we wrap up. She's like, you know what I love about this podcast? I look forward to it all the time. The topics went from Schitt's Creek to yeast infection. Pokemon says, love you all so much. Thanks for the great podcast and making my day better. I'm in such a good mood thanks to these conversations. Thank you. We love you guys. Thank you guys so much for entertaining our crazy during our off-season bullshit. I don't know what else to call it. Yeah. But I look forward to these just random catching ups with you guys.
It's just a fun check-in with each other and with y'all. So it's just fun to do.
Totally.
We never plan what we're going to talk about. Well, we had planned on talking about you moving.
Listen, it'll be the same story.
We can talk about it next
till the end of time.
Yeah.
True. All right, so we are going to go over to our Patreon to talk about episodes 7 through 10, the final for Dragula season 2, with our patron Matt Henning, who is also our lovely mod. So thank you always for modding the chat, keeping everything under control here. So we're gonna hop over to there.
Tonight.
I'll post the link to Patreon right now for the YouTube show. So those that are tuning along for that, look out for a post there in 2 minutes or so. But everybody have a great rest of your night. We'll see you guys. I think the next time the non-patrons will be seeing us is the cast draft for Big Brother 23. So we'll be announcing when that is. Of course, there's no official announcement for the cast reveal and everything like that. So we're just kind of waiting to see when all of that happens. But it'll be at some point before the Big Brother season starts. So I always look forward to that show very, very much. So we'll be drafting all of these people away and seeing who takes the title this year. But I am the reigning champ for Big Brother US.
Anyway, we're going to end this show. Please subscribe on YouTube so you get notifications for when this shit goes live and stuff.
All right. Take care, guys. Bye.